Before this video starts, if you enjoyed this video, there are many more like it already on the channel with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I am trying to hit 125,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. I upload daily on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is a place for it. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second. It makes a massive difference. Also, real quick, if you did not see my community post about it already, I posted a new video over on my film channel about the debate between who was the better Spider-Man between Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland. So if that's a topic that interests you, it's about an 19 minute video on that, and I really like it, so go check it out. But with that out of the way, today we are talking about John Wall, someone that I'm sure many people have forgotten even exists at this point. John Wall has been injured for the last 2 seasons, but recently he made some comments saying that he felt like he was 110% and healthy. Now, you can only be 100%, but I believe he was trying to exemplify that point by saying 110%. So the question of today's video is, how good is John Wall going to be, and how much is that going to impact the Washington Wizards? What direction is this franchise going to go as a result of John Wall's improvement and him returning? So I feel like, as I said earlier just a second ago, I feel like people have forgotten about John Wall. Not too long ago, like 2-3 years ago, I made a video on why I thought John Wall could win MVP. And I think I actually had him as my pick for MVP because I was really high on the Wizards. And at this time, John Wall had come off of a season averaging 23 points and 11 assists on 45% from the field, while I believe making an all-defensive team. No, he made an all-defensive team the season prior, but he was that level of defender while getting 23 and 11. So I was very high on John Wall, and I thought the following season he was going to really explode and have an MVP caliber season. Now, that did not happen because he missed about half of the season, and even half of the season that he played, he did not play amazing. So, yeah, that's kind of what happened there. But unfortunately, since then, he has just had to deal with injury after injury. He did not play any of the 2019-20 season, so he is back now, and the question is, how good is he going to be? Well, he was an all-star caliber player pretty much with no ounce of hesitation there previous to his injuries, so it's a matter of how severe are his injuries and how much is that going to impact him. Well, unfortunately, in the case of John Wall, he is someone who is pretty reliant upon his athleticism, as he is not a good shooter. He has been passable at times as a three-point shooter, but generally speaking, he is a poor three-point shooter. His free throw percentage has gradually declined to the point where he's below average after being pretty all right. And because of that, how far he can actually go as a player on both ends of the court is kind of limited if his athleticism is stunted by these injuries. He's going to be almost 30 years old going into next season, so there's the age factor on top of the fact that the guy has not set foot on an NBA court in well over a year. He's also a playmaker, obviously, but I think in the past couple of seasons, the actual value of a leading man averaging double-digit assists has gradually decreased because you really don't see that happening anymore, and that's for good reason. Very rarely are there more than, at max, 3 players in the league averaging double-digit assists. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure LeBron James was the only player this year who averaged 10-plus assists, so there is that. And because of that, I could definitely see his actual impact going down and his actual usage going down if Washington's coach doesn't feel like letting him, just completely dictate the offense and average a bunch of assists. There's also the factor of Bradley Beal, as he has stepped up his game to a whole new level in the absence of John Wall. And John Wall has made comments saying he didn't want to take away from Bradley Beal's shooting and his shot taking, rather just assist him and really fill in the voids when the Wizards are just god-awful without Bradley Beal on the court or without someone filling in for him on some possessions. So I do see that reasoning, but there's not going to be as many shots for John Wall, and I don't see him averaging 20 points per game coming back. But I think I would, if I had to make a guess on some regular season stats, I would say like 18 points and 8 assists. Hopefully a decent assist to turnover ratio. Definitely way less shots than he's been taking Hopefully a decent field goal percentage. He's been around 43% for his whole career. I'm wondering how many mid-range shots he's going to be attempting, because thus far in his career, that's really been his only game outside of attacking the basket, and he's not really good at them. He's not, like, horrible, but it's not, even though he takes them a bunch, it's not really a big strength of his. So how impactful John Wall will actually be on offense is a little bit questionable, especially if his burst is not there due to some declining athleticism because of these injuries. So hopefully his injuries have not impacted his athleticism too much, because without it, John Wall really isn't a whole lot on offense outside of a decent playmaker. And then on top of that, on defense, while John Wall is a smart defender and he has very good size for a point guard, his actual effort in the last 2 seasons, where yes, he was dealing with injury, was not amazing, and his defense definitely seemed to like fall off of a cliff. So I'm not entirely sure where he's going to be on that end of the court either. Now, hopefully, his size and his intelligence on that end ends up being enough of a factor to where he's still a plus defender, especially with him having some real games under him instead of just constantly being in and out with injury. But you never know. There's a good chance he comes back and he's like just a neutral defender, maybe even a negative one. And then on offense, he's a okay scorer and okay playmaker who can't space the floor, and he's not as good at attacking the basket as he used to be. I could see a world where John Wall comes back and he's like Lonzo Ball, but like 30% better. And that's still an impactful player and still a valuable player, but I don't know that this comeback is going to be as earth-shattering and it's going to be as impactful as I think the Washington Wizards are anticipating it being, because the Wizards have been pretty adamant about not trading Bradley Beal because John Wall is coming back. They're pretty much entirely reliant on John Wall being a star, all-star level player once he returns, and I'm not entirely sure that he actually is going to be that. I think I said earlier in this recording that I was pretty sure he would be it. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm not entirely sure. I think I just said not entirely sure like 5 times in that sentence. I think if injuries are really impactful on John Wall, he's like a slightly better Lonzo, and that's unfortunate. But let's just look at this optimistically and say that John Wall, he's like 80% of what he was in his prime, and that is still a star level player, and that's still a very impactful player. He's a good defensive player, still has good burst going to the rim, and he's a pretty good playmaker, even if his role is slightly limited with the emergence of Bradley Beal as this real scoring option, as well as him being a better playmaker on top of that. So let's say that's the scenario. How good are the Washington Wizards under those circumstances? Well, I actually think I'm going to be a little bit higher on the Wizards than most, as I have been for a lot of time, and obviously back when I thought John Wall was going to be an MVP. But the Washington Wizards are like a team primed to be pretty alright, so long as they just have another star level player, and especially one like John Wall that can pick it up on both ends of the court. So there's a lot of talent on this team that I think is undervalued. So Davis Bertans, if they can get him back, now he is a free agent, but if they can get him back to, he'll get pretty big money, but if they can bring him back, him on offense is going to be huge, and he's going to be a great partner for John Wall as a pick and pop option, because that guy is a ridiculous three-point shooter, and it's nice to have a shooter like that on this team. Rui Hachimura, I'm not entirely sure how good that fit is going to be, because Rui is not a three-point shooter. He mostly attacks off of the dribble, in the paint, and in the mid-range, and a mid-range shot creator is really not someone you want to put next to John Wall. Ish Smith, I don't remember if he's still on this team or not. I think he is. He's a pretty good backup point guard. Troy Brown, he has some playmaking chops, and he's decent on both ends of the court outside of that. He looked okay from 3 for the first time in his career. Not amazing, but okay. Thomas Bryant is a center that can shoot the 3. He's a pretty good playmaker for a 5, and then he does everything else a center should do at an all-right level. He's a pretty good finisher, pretty solid rebounder, and pretty good defensive player. He's not amazing at really anything, but he gets the job done in all departments. Mo Wagner seems like a guy that can be a scoring option. He did not shoot well from 3 this year, but he was putting up points in short minutes, so he could be a guy there. Isaac Bonga, he seems to have some potential. I don't know entirely how that fits in with everything else the Wizards are doing, but there is that. Rui is really my only concern, and on top of that, the lack of depth. But decent backup point guard, good shooting in Davis Bertans, assuming they can bring him back. Thomas Bryant can also space the floor as a center. There's good floor spacing here, like a starting lineup of John Wall, Bradley Beal, Rui Hachimura, and Thomas Bryant. That is 3 shooters and John Wall. Ideally, you get a small forward in there who can shoot the ball, and then I guess have Rui be a 6-man, because I don't see how he fits with John Wall, like, period. That's the biggest fit struggle here for the Wizards by far. But outside of that, I do think this Wizards team, if everything fits properly and they get some decent free agency signings to just round out this roster a little bit, and is their head coach Scott Brooks? I think it is. Oh man, yeah, that's a downer because Scott Brooks is not a good head coach. I do believe John Wall can raise the defensive ceiling of this team, and this Wizards team was piss poor on defense this year, like literally bottom of the league. And then I think their offensive ceiling can go up a little bit, so I'd say the Wizards will probably be like the 10th best offense in the league and like the 20th best defense. And 20th is still not good, but it's a lot better than 30th. So yeah, I do think this Wizards team could actually do something real. I do think they could be like an 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, long term, I don't think this team goes anywhere, but in terms of the short term, which seems to be what the Wizards are focused on, I do see an avenue where the Wizards are a playoff team once more. Now, I am kind of lower on John Wall in terms of his injury return. I really think he's not going to be as impactful as people think he's going to be, unfortunately. I'm hoping he's right in saying that he's 110%, because that could mean like he just feels healthy, but you might not really realize the implications. He might not realize how much that's impacting his athleticism until he's really getting out there again, and we'll see that as it plays out on the court. That is John Wall, what he may or may not look like when he comes back. Again, go check out that Spider-Man video over on the Film channel if that's something that interests you, and of course subscribe over there. That's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.